This is Strykes Sessions.
What's up, everyone? Welcome back to Strykes Sessions. This is season 4, episode number 7. I asked you guys on Instagram to ask questions about preparation. For example, like, a first job, a first client job, an interview, a test. So I have some of your responses. So we're just going to go down the list, and I'm going to give my input and advice and just kind of say how I would do it. So let's get right into it. First one is first job. So by this, I'm assuming you mean like actual like job, like store job, fast food job, proper job, not like a client photography job or something like that. We'll get to that in a minute. But first job, obviously you want to be, ready for the interview. You want to interview well. When they ask you to come in for an interview, you want to do some research on the company beforehand so that you know kind of what they're about and kind of what they do as a company. You don't have to obviously know the ins and outs of the entire business, but just familiarize yourself with it, get to know it, get to know how they operate, what they do. If you can, try to get, an idea of their values, their ethics. Obviously be on time to the interview. Punctuality is huge, especially when a business is looking at a potential a potential employee. Another thing to do involving the interview is research some common interview questions. A lot of the questions they ask are kind of like general. If you want to, you can practice your answers beforehand, or just at least get an idea of what your answers to some of those general questions would be. And then if and when you get the job, ask some of your fellow coworkers, even though it might be kind of intimidating, ask them, what they first did when they, first started working at that company. Kind of ask them to show you the ropes if you're kind of more open. Yeah, it never hurts to ask for help. Second one is first photography job. So this one is pretty important because especially if it's your first job, you don't want to be, messing up a lot. It's okay to make mistakes. Obviously, it's okay to not have everything down 100%, but you definitely don't want to be all over the place and look like a noob. So one thing you want to do the night before or even a couple days before, make a gear checklist, depending on, I'm assuming you're going to know like kind of what the job is going to be and what you're going to be doing there. So kind of get a general idea of what that, is going to require gear wise. Make a gear checklist, go over it, pack up your stuff the night before. Once everything's packed up, go down that checklist, make sure everything's in there. And then even that day, even that morning, go over the checklist before you leave your house. Make sure everything's in there. Make sure all your batteries are charged. Always bring extra SD cards. Always bring extra batteries too. You definitely want to have more than one battery, especially if you're going on a long day shoot. Definitely bring more than one battery. And then obviously depending on your SD card size, bring the appropriate amount. Another thing you want to do is get a shot list from them. So kind of ask them, what shots are you expecting me to get? What shots do you want to see from me? Ask them to write down, each kind of part of the shoot, what they want from you. And then if you really want to get serious with that kind of aspect, you can get a contract. It doesn't have to be like some, lawyer approved, super legal contract. Just any like document that says, what you want them to agree to and kind of what you want them to be aware of. Get that on a piece of paper, get them to sign it. Obviously don't force them if they don't want to, but, make sure they sign it before you work for them. Definitely ask for the money first. Do not send them the pictures and then hope that they send you money. Ask for the money first. Another thing, this kind of goes hand in hand with asking the client for a shot list. Kind of talk and get to know the client first. You're going to be doing business with these people. You want to be, on a personal level with them. I don't know, just be open with them, be friendly with them, show them that you're a nice person. Treat it like a normal conversation with a friend. Third thing is wanting to make a change in your eating and exercising habits to improve your physique. This is something I'm doing right now. Obviously you have to stick with it. You want to make sure you're eating right depending on what you're trying to do, whether that be gain weight or lose weight. You want to be sure you're doing your proper workouts, so don't have bad form. Try to look up, helpful videos on YouTube if you don't have access to a gym where you could ask someone in real life. Make sure you're doing workouts that are actually beneficial. Some workouts are complete bogus and will not do anything for you, so make sure you know what you're doing, and be strict on yourself. Don't have a cheat day that literally reverses all the hard work you put in the week before. Be strict with it. It's going to be tough. It's going to suck at the time, but in a year, when you've been doing it for a year and you see those results, you'll thank yourself. Fourth thing is starting a new channel or brand. So this is something I'm more familiar with. Obviously, I'm pretty familiar with all of these, but this kind of resonates with me more. If you're making a new YouTube channel, or honestly, this works for both. If it's of a niche, if you have a niche behind your channel or brand, look into that niche, look what has already been uploaded, look what content is working, look what content isn't working. Try to, obviously develop your own unique style. Don't just copy someone that's already doing that. They won't even watch you when it already exists somewhere else. Make sure you have a solid logo. I forget what the term is for it. There's a good example of it, like the Disney logo, how it can go from this, I'll put it up on the screen, how it can go from this to this to this to this. I forget what that term is, but I'll just call it like a downsizable logo. Any logo that can be like downplayed but is still recognizable at like the most minimal level, that is what you want in a logo. You want it to be clean, you want it to be recognizable, and you want to be able to use it in multiple different formats, different sizes, different versions of that logo, and still have it resonate with people. Obviously, get some social media, get the proper handles. Try to get, the most simple handle you can that still is like in relation with your content or channel or brand. Try to get on social media platforms as quickly as possible if you think of like a new name for a brand or something like that. And then for a new channel, and if you're like an Instagram page, you want consistent scheduling. So, post 3 times a week at 9, 2 times a week at 9, just any consistent level where people know like when you're going to post and when you're going to be, releasing new content. That helps a lot, especially with YouTube. I remember when I did daily, my numbers were way better than they are now. I do YouTube on and off. I have literally no schedule. And honestly, the more you post on Instagram, the more like people are going to see your pages and content. So last one we got, this is a shorter podcast, tests or finals. So obviously you want to study. I know that's pretty, that's a given. But some people, look at a book for 10 minutes, don't retain anything, and then say they studied. You really want to sit down, get focused. I know it's tough. I freaking hate studying. I can't study like that. But for some people, they can. Look up different study methods, research what works for people. Everyone's brain is different. So you just have to find what works for you. Something that I do is use mnemonic devices. So what's a good example of a mnemonic device? Okay, say you need to remember which president served 3 terms. The answer is FDR. You can remember there's 3 letters in FDR. FDR, 3 terms. If it's multiple choice, obviously, you'll have a list of 4, other names will be there. They won't have those 3 initials, let alone 3 names, depending on who's on there. But anyway, you get the idea. 3 letters, 3 terms, just stuff like that, stuff that will easily pop into your head or that, is obvious about the test. Connect that to the answer for something like that. That's a pretty like rough example, but I think you get the idea. And then something that a lot of people don't do is just straight up relax during the test. Don't get all anxious. I know it's harder for some people. Just relax. It's just a piece of paper. If it's that bad of a grade, if you still end up getting that bad of a grade, ask for a retake or ask, for makeup work to help bring up your grade a little bit more. Teachers aren't going to get mad at you for asking to do more of their work. Like it's just, it's harmless. And the worst thing they can say is no. And then you just try to do better on the next one. That's all I got. Thank you for the questions. I really appreciate it. Like I always say, you guys giving us podcast topics and you guys telling us what you want to see on this podcast always helps us out a bunch and helps us deliver that content. So thank you for listening / watching. Tune in next episode. We'll do a rant next episode. Tune in next episode for a little a classic Strykes Sessions rant. Thank you guys for listening / watching, and I'll talk to you on the next podcast. Peace out.
Thank you guys so much for tuning in. As always, we're trying to get out more podcasts for you now than ever. If you guys want to listen to more of our podcasts, you can find us on Spotify, iTunes. All of our important links are below as always, and we'll talk to you soon.